We're down to the final days of the fight against Prop 50 in California, and it looks like a disaster is looming for California Republicans. But there is still hope, but it's going to be a long shot. I'll tell you what you can do to close the gap. Plus, if you vote on Election Day, it puts your ballot at greatest risk. I'm going to give you a tip on how you can maximize the security of your ballot and make sure it's counted. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator, and it is looking bad for Republicans on Prop 50. And it didn't have to be this way. I think that the No on 50 campaigns that were funded by big donors, they have failed miserably. The messaging was terrible. Their approach was misguided. And this has been a winnable fight, and it's still winnable in these final days. I'm going to walk through some alarming data, but I'll share with you where some of the possible outside lanes are for us to make up the difference and come from behind in these final days. And it's all in your hands, really. It's in you getting other people out to vote no on Prop 50 in these final days. You can actually be the winning edge. I'll share with you the ballot returns in just a moment. And I'm also going to cover how your voting on Election Day puts your ballot at the greatest risk of not being counted. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to maximize the security of your ballot and ensure that it's actually counted. But I would be remiss if I did not urge you to go on to the website, defendfairelections.org, defendfairelections.org. That is our ground zero campaign hub for the No on 50 grassroots campaign that Reform California is running. There, you still have the top 5 reasons that you can share with your friends and family and neighbors as to why they should vote no on Prop 50. It also answers directly the question, what about Texas? More importantly, we are trying to text and canvass as many voters as possible in these remaining days, but we are literally funding this campaign second by second. We are out of money for text messages, and we need to replenish that. We need to continue to fund these students, high school and college students, to go out and canvass door to door. If you can please chip in a contribution, we urgently need all the resources we can get in these final hours. Go to defendfairelections.org, chip in a contribution. Now, let me go through the updates. Here is the story, and it basically captures the ineptitude, incompetence of the California Republican Party establishment consultants, and the failure that they have been on Prop 50 is no different than the failure they've been that led us to the super minority. They're funded to fail. Headline in Politico, California Republicans retreat as anti-Prop 50 campaign collapses. And it captures basically criticism of the way in which the professional consultants ran the 2 main no campaigns run by Kevin McCarthy and the campaign that was funded by Charles Munger. There's also criticism in here of the California Republican Party itself. I've been very vocal about the criticism. In fact, I'm the last comment in the article. If you scroll down, it says, Republican Assemblymember Carl DeMaio said he believed that the opposition campaign defrauded donors with a poor campaign strategy and inauthentic videos. Quote, I knew they were going to waste the money, he told Politico at a No on Prop 50 rally in the Sacramento suburb of Roseville. Quote, the same people who gave us the super minority are the ones running these committees and profiting off the failure. We are still fighting, and I do believe that despite the pathetic campaign run by the well-funded campaigns that McCarthy and Munger chaired, that we actually have an outside chance of closing the gap. Here are the ads that Newsom is running. It's all focused on boosting Democrat turnout in these remaining days, and that features all these politicians. I mean, I absolutely believe Prop 50 is beatable. It was beatable. It still is. But here's why. They're politicians taking credit for gerrymandering and rigging the election. It makes you want to hurl when you see them, but they open the door to our natural response.
You have the power to stand up to Donald Trump. You have the power to protect reproductive freedom.
You have the power to stop election rigging.
You have the power to give America a fair midterm.
You have the power to restore checks and balances.
You have the power to stand up for everyone being erased by this president.
For all of us.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the devil offering Bible study. These people, complete frauds. They say that they're saving democracy. They're the ones destroying it. So all of those ads are out there. And look, they've had so many ads up on the yes side, it doesn't matter how many more that they run. But what they are doing is showing that they, the politicians, want this. Here's our ad. And I believe that this ad absolutely is exactly the message for those 10 to 15% of yes votes that could be swung to the other side.
Why is it wrong to rig the election in California if Texas is doing it too?
As a teacher, I often have to explain to kids why two wrongs don't make a right, and Prop 50 is a perfect example. Politicians are using your hatred of Trump to get what they want. Prop 50 takes power away from you by destroying the independent citizens' redistricting process. And Prop 50 wastes $300 million, money that should go to our schools. Rigging elections is wrong, and two wrongs don't make a right. Vote no on Prop 50.
Real people, a teacher, a child asking a question. Now, this is not designed for Republican votes. This is designed for those wayward Democrats and independents that hate Trump, but they don't like election rigging. And you just got to remind them that the politicians are just trying to use your hatred of Trump in order to get what they really want, the power, and that it's rigging the election. Two wrongs don't make a right. The other part of the campaign needs to be focused on Republican votes. And here's why. We are seeing abysmal ballot returns. I pulled the numbers for you so that you can understand just how bad the ballot returns are. As of 8 a.m. this morning, there are about 4.7 million and change of ballots returned. And Democrats have exceeded their registration share by 6.6%. They're at 51.6% of the ballots. 2.4 million and change of ballots returned are Democrats. 27.4% of the ballot returns are Republicans. That's up by 2.1%, but not the same enthusiasm as Democrats. That's a problem. Only 1.294 million Republican ballots out of 5.8 million issued. Now, take a look. If we get an additional 50% of Republicans to vote, and I think we can, we actually can win just based on the Republican turnout alone. But I'm hearing a lot of Republicans that are not even aware that there's an election because they didn't get any messaging from the Republican Party. No one was messaging to them through the paid committees. Oh, they sent 3 lousy pieces of flat mail, but people throw away that marketing mail. Junk, 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 junk. Meanwhile, Reform California, through grassroots donors, no big donors, we did this on our own with your help. We sent out 1.5 million handwritten letters on day 1 of the election with no on Prop 50 material inside of it. We've done more to move the needle than the Republican Party with all the millions of dollars they had. Sure, they're going to say we didn't have as much money as Newsom. You know what? And the day ends in Y. You know that you're always going to be outspent by the Democrats, but you had $40 to $50 million, for goodness sakes. You had enough money to win this thing. So here is my assignment to you in the remaining days of this Prop 50 fight. Put gas in the tank at defendfairelections.org so we can text and canvass GOP voters. Second, you need to get vocal. You need to volunteer and just simply start talking to Republicans, text them. Everyone has their Republican friends in their cell phone, even text independents and even some Democrats. Get them to vote no on Prop 50. And particularly as you collect signatures, if you are collecting signatures for the California Voter ID Initiative, those of you that have volunteer packs, and if you don't have a volunteer pack, get one at voteridvolunteer.org. We have no on 50 materials in those packets. And finally, share that commercial. It's on our YouTube channel, Reform California with Carl DeMaio. Share that commercial so that people can see that argument about fundamental fairness. Two wrongs don't make a right. In the waning days of this campaign, I am terrified, but there's still an outside chance. And that boils down to you getting every Republican you know out to vote. Final point, if you're voting on election day, you're putting your ballot at risk. I've said that from the beginning. I want you to go to the website, trackmyballot.org, trackmyballot.org, because this is the tool I'm going to use to make sure that you can vote and verify your vote. I've always said you need to vote by mail in the first 72 hours of every election in California. I don't like it, and I'm not trusting the Postal Service, but what I am doing is using the Postal Service to return the ballot and then using trackmyballot.org to track the ballot and verify that it was received and counted. Now, those of you who haven't voted yet, stubborn, you're saying, I don't want to vote by mail. I'm going to walk it in. It's a rite of passage for me. It's my custom. Yeah, and your custom of going in on election day puts your ballot at risk and hurts our chances of winning. You hurt our chances of winning because there is an 80% reduction in the number of polling centers in the state of California. Democrats know that conservatives like to vote on election day, so they've cut the number of polling centers dramatically. As a result, long lines will happen if every conservative waits until election day, and we will suppress our own vote. I am astounded by how dumb conservative Republican voters are in the state of California. Yes, I absolutely see it as dumb because you're playing into their hands. They've manipulated this whole process. And by cutting the polling centers by 80% in most counties, it's hard to process that many votes. Long lines means that we can't get low propensity voters to cast their ballot. This is a disaster. And so here's what I need you to do. I need you to vote today, tomorrow, the next day, all the way through Monday. Do not go on Tuesday. Get your vote in early, in person. You have to go in person. And the way to find out how to go in person, you go to trackmyballot.org and request a replacement ballot. You're not really requesting the replacement ballot. What you're basically doing is you're going to the voting locations of your county. And I believe the counties are all listed on here. And if not, we can look it up. So for example, if I go to San Diego County Registrar of Voters, it goes to sdvote.com. And if I go to that website, all county websites have this information on their website. So you would Google Alameda County Registrar of Voters or Placer County Registrar of Voters. What you would do is click under your voting options. You can vote by mail, return your ballot to trusted source, which is the Dropbox locations. You can do a Dropbox by mail until Friday at 5 o'clock because it will still be processed before then. But if not, you got to go to a vote center. So here's a list of vote centers. You basically find the one that's nearest to you. Simple as that. If you lost your ballot, you can get a replacement ballot at a vote center. If you're not registered to vote, you can still register to vote up to 8 p.m. Finally, why is walking your ballot in to a polling center dangerous? Because when you go in there, you're likely going to get told, oh, put your ballot in an envelope, sign it, seal it, and drop it in this box here. Don't do that. What you're doing is you're converting your ballot into a mail-in ballot right then and there. And those ballots at the polling centers are not counted until the end of the month of November. There's some of the last ballots to be counted. You shouldn't put your ballot in an envelope at a polling center because you're basically voting by mail. Instead, you need to say, I don't want to vote by mail. I don't want to put it in the mail-in ballot envelope. I want to separate my ballot from my envelope. I want this paper ballot to be counted day of. So what do I have to do to cast this ballot today at this polling center and have it counted manually by election night? They will have a day of box that they will put your ballot in. You can also surrender your ballot and do the computer screen. I don't like computers, but you can do that as well as an option. I prefer the paper ballot being put in the day of box. But please do not put the ballot into a mail-in envelope and put it into a box on election day in a polling center because you should not have to do that. You should basically be able to vote day of at that polling center. What happens to put your ballot at risk? Well, if they count it late, which if you walk into a polling center and you put it in the envelope like they ask, because they're trying to make their job easier. Oh, we don't want to count it tonight. We'll count it later on. If your signature is missing or your date is missing or your signature is a mismatch, what happens? They reject it. There's not enough time to tell you that your ballot signature was rejected. So why would you put your ballot at risk? Please, in the future, it's too late now for many of you, vote in the first 72 hours by mail and then go to that website, trackmyballot.org, and track your ballot for the next 5, 6, 7 days. Then by mid-October, you know that you've been counted and you can spend the rest of the month either on vacation, or what I want you to do is help us turn out the vote for our candidates and our causes. But now that you have waited, you must walk your ballot into a polling location and vote day of, not day of the election, not November 4th. I want the day of box. So you can do it today, tomorrow. You can do it Saturday, Sunday, Monday before the election, but please avoid those polling centers on Tuesday because we need to keep the lines as low as possible. That's the process. We're running out of time to get the no vote. Remember, if you haven't signed the California Voter ID Initiative yet, please go online, voteridinitiative.com, voteridinitiative.com. Download, print, sign, and mail back your signature on the California Voter ID Initiative. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California State Representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.